So I'm gonna make a video here and see if you guys can't make the connection what I'm talking about. Maybe I'll not say it and see if you can't make the connection. But you know, I know someone who bought a shock collar for their dog, and I was like, "Wow, that's legal, isn't it?" And then they didn't want to train their dog either. Um, they would like hit their children, but they wouldn't like put a shock collar on their dog who was like super vicious and needed like a muzzle and at the very least maybe some clamps on its legs. But besides the point, I was like, wow, that's illegal. And I remember once when I was with a person who had kids, I would put leashes on them because you guys with kids, you might know what kids are like. Or those of you who used to be children, you might remember, such a jack butt you are and were when you're a kid, and you needed a frickin' leash on you. Or you needed a shock collar on you. Depending on which type of kid you were, you either needed a leash or you needed a shock collar. And those are legal to put on dogs. But when I put leashes on kids, I took them to some dangerous places. I took them to like a junkyard where you could just like cut yourself in like a 20-year-old car or something and get rabies or whatever that's called, right? Where it's not rabies. I'm just kind of joking around. Where the rust stuff kills you. You get rust in your body and it kills you. Tetanus. And anyway, and I didn't want to chase them all over the yard. And I know who these kids are. First of all, they're around me. Second of all, they're around the other half of their family. And so it's like, yeah, we're gonna put a leash on you kids, because I'm not gonna turn my back on you for 4 seconds and expect you to be there. So I put a leash on them, and I got a bunch of like, some people looked at me like I was a genius, and then other people looked at me like I'm like abusive or something. And it's like, oh well, who cares? Like, we all made it out alive. That's what's important, and the kids made it out alive. That's important. But I was thinking, when I was playing a game today, there's like a bunch of children in this game, and they can't handle adult conversations, or they don't have adult attitudes, and they probably shouldn't be relating to adults. Like, some of us were adults when we were children, and adults hung out with us, and pretty much most people I knew my whole life were over 18. But there's other people who are under 18 till their next life, or the life after that, or the life after that. And, they hit 80 and they still haven't grown up past the 7-year-old. And people like that, like, they could benefit from a shock collar. I didn't say that, my bad. They couldn't, right? People like that, like, the internet is being censored, because all this internet censorship is being done in the name of 7-year-olds who shouldn't be on the internet to begin with. And their parents should probably be hauled off to prison for giving them a computer and allowing them on the internet at 7 years old. I think that is the most reasonable option, but because those people can vote, we're not going to be able to vote to put parents in prison for neglecting their children, because child abuse and child neglect is legally allowed. It's like allowed as long as you don't say you're doing it, and you got to do that passive aggressive Jesus thing, like, oh, you're acting like the devil. Jesus said, don't do that, I'm gonna have to kill you, and you're the Satan. And as long as you treat people like that, that's how you can do things. You tell a kid, like, oh, don't be so evil, because Jesus doesn't like evil people, and you're going to go burn in hell if you're evil. And it's like, well, who's going to set the child on fire, I wonder? And so, and generally we can see who does the crusades. They invade nations and they set those people on fire. So we might have a clue who it is that's setting people on fire until the end of their lives. But, that's like acceptable in this world, to be like passive aggressive, manipulative, sociopath, psychotic murderer. as long as you like say you're not. Just never say you're a sociopath, psychotic murderer, passive aggressive manipulator. Just say you're a great person and Jesus has sent you to kill all the, to put the devils in hell for eternity. Don't use the word kill. Bad word. Evil word. You got to use words like Jesus and peace. I've come in peace. I've come with democracy. But anyway, so we should show these kids peace. We can give them a peace collar. And if they get on the internet, we give like the peace collar collar, like gives them a little notification that they're not supposed to be on the internet. They're too young for the internet, and they should obey for world peace. Stuff like that. Give them a peace collar. Like we give the dogs. The dogs are going on, yep, 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 yep. No one wants to hear that. So they introduce peace collars for the dog. And you put the collar around the dog's neck, and every time it barks, maybe they're automated. If you get a good one, it's automated. But other than that, you got to press the button. And it like tells the dog, it's like, be peaceful. And then it yaps again, and then you press the button again, and the color's like, the collar around its neck is like, be peaceful. And the dog eventually learns. It's like, oh man, I gotta be peaceful because peace is the way of the world. And then it makes me think like, instead of censoring the internet so 6-year-olds can get on it and talk with grown folks who they should never converse with, and their parents should be thrown in prison if they allow their 6-year-olds to converse with 40-year-old strangers, especially all day long. Like one time's an accident, but like 140-year-olds with candy in a van a day, you're simply neglecting your children. Hell, put a peace color on those people. I'm sorry, it's so evil to say they should be sent to prison. They should get a peace collar, so the collar can teach them how to be peaceful and dedicated to their child rearing. Let's not call it breeding. Let's call it child rearing. Dedicated to their parenting, because I don't think anyone even understands what a parent's supposed to be anymore. We put the peace collars on them, and it teaches them peace. And they go, well, what you're doing right now isn't peaceful. You should go play with your children. And you just hit the peace button, and then the parents are like, ooh, I gotta go watch my children. Like hell, forget the children. Put the peace collar on the adult, on their parents, and when their children get on the internet acting messed up, hit the peace button, and then the parent like gets a peace notification, and the notification is like, hey, your child needs to be taught some peace, and then you're like, eventually after a few times of the peace collar notifying you, you're like, well, I should probably go do this because the peace collar keeps notifying me. I have to go teach my children democracy and peace, and how to behave in a democratic society. And then oh my God, could you guys imagine how horrible it would be if you let someone who understood the English language run this system? Like, it's a good thing they're idiots because we can see through their system. But you get someone like me who understands the language and is a master at it, and like all of a sudden it's like everything is peace and democracy or else.